Evan Reed never liked crowded space stations, but work always pulled him back. The trading station called Halvaron Hub floated above a quiet blue planet, shining with thousands of lights. Ships of every shape docked there every hour, human freighters, alien caravans, and diplomatic vessels with banners Evan didn't recognize. To most visitors, it was exciting, alive, full of color. To Evan, it was simply where broken machines waited for his hands. He walked through the metallic hallway with a small toolbox swinging at his side. His steps were calm and steady. People brushed past him, too busy to notice the quiet engineer in simple gray clothes. But Evan didn't mind. Quiet was better. He reached a service room where damaged drones sat in a row, their wings bent, wires exposed. The supervisor gave him a list and left. Evan knelt and started working, the soft buzz of his tools filling the room. His focus was deep enough that he didn't hear the station alarms faintly echoing from far away, nor the voice of a mechanic complaining about supply shortages. His life had been simple for years. Fix, rest, eat, repeat. But somewhere in the station, someone had just caught his scent and froze in shock. Leary of the Shayren entered Halvaron Hub with her escorts walking behind her. Her people were known for many things: tall builds, pale glowing markings on their skin, and senses stronger than most species. But the strongest of all was smell. A Shayren could identify emotions, memories, and even people through scent alone. Leary walked slowly, taking in the strange smell of the station: oil, metal, steam, old air filters, many species living together. None of it bothered her. She had traveled far from home. Her role today was simple: inspect the trade routes, meet the station director, and return. But fate had other plans. As she walked past a cargo hallway, something faint touched her senses. Something warm, calm, familiar in a way that made her breath catch. Her body froze. Her escort noticed immediately. "Lady Leary, is something wrong?" She didn't answer. Her glowing eyes widened, and she slowly turned her head. The scent drifted again, soft, human, but mixed with something she remembered from long ago. Dust, heat, stone, fear, and a comforting presence holding her while darkness fell all around. Her heart beat fast. Her hands trembled. It was him, the human who once saved her life. She started walking, then running, following the scent like a trail only she could see. Her escorts called her name, rushing after her, confused. Leary didn't stop. She pushed through crowds, down a maintenance staircase, through a hallway where old signs flickered. The scent grew stronger. Her chest tightened with emotion she had kept inside for years. She reached a quiet service room and looked inside. A human knelt on the floor, fixing a drone with careful hands. His hair was dark brown and his face calm, focused, patient. He looked older now, stronger, but the scent was the same. Her breath broke into a whisper. "It's him." Evan didn't realize someone was standing at the door until a shadow stretched across the floor. He lifted his head and froze. A tall, alien girl stood there, staring at him like she had found a ghost. Her skin was smooth and pale with faint, glowing lines like delicate patterns. Her long silver hair fell behind her shoulders, and her bright blue eyes were wide with emotion. Fear, hope, memory, everything mixed. Evan blinked. Can I help you?" The girl took a step forward, trembling. Then another. Her escorts finally arrived, breathing hard. "Lady Leary, please wait! You should not approach unknown humans!" But Leary didn't listen. She knelt right in front of Evan, eyes locked on him like she had found something precious. It is you," she whispered, voice soft and shaking. "I finally found you." Evan had no idea what she was talking about. "I'm sorry. Have we met before?" Her eyes filled with tears, not sadness, just overwhelming emotion. "Yes, Many years ago, a mine collapsed on my world. I was a child. Everyone thought I was gone. But a human man protected me. He covered me with his body. He held me. He kept me alive until help came. Evan's breath caught. The memory hit him hard. Dust taking over the air, rocks crashing, a scared small alien child crying under his arm, him shielding her with his body, the world going black. He remembered waking up in a med bay, learning that the girl had been taken away to her people. He never saw her again. Evan stared at Leary with surprise. "You were that child." She nodded quickly, smiling through trembling lips. "And I never forgot your scent. Humans all smell different, but you, I remember yours. Warm, safe, strong." Her escorts looked stunned. "Lady Leary, this is unbelievable." Evan raised a hand gently. "It's good to see you safe. I didn't think I ever would." Leary placed a small crystal pendant in front of him. "I kept this. The miners gave it to me that day. It is the only proof I had that the memory was real." She looked at him with so much trust and relief that Evan didn't know how to react. Then suddenly the lights above flickered. A loud boom echoed from somewhere far inside the station. Evan stood up quickly. That wasn't normal. His engineer instincts woke immediately. Something was wrong. Leary sniffed the air. Her expression turned serious. "There is danger on this station. A strange scent hides under the air. Someone is planning something bad." Her escorts exchanged nervous glances. "Lady Leary, we should leave immediately." But Leary stepped closer to Evan instead. "No, I will stay near him. He is the one who saved me when the world was falling. I trust him." Evan rubbed the back of his neck, unsure what to say. He was just an engineer, not a hero. But her belief in him felt heavy and real. Another alarm sounded in the distance. Evan made a decision. "Come with me. If something is happening to the station, I can check the systems. Maybe we can see what's wrong." Leary nodded instantly. "I will follow." Her escorts sighed helplessly but stayed behind them as Evan led the way through the hallway. They reached a side control room. Evan tapped the console, scanning the energy systems. The results appeared on the screen. His eyebrows rose. "That's strange. Someone disabled 3 safety locks manually. Only a skilled technician could do that." Leary's eyes narrowed. "I smelled unknown chemicals in the hallway earlier. It was like, burning metal, but hidden under cleaning scents." Evan thought for a moment. That might be from an explosive filament. Her face tightened with worry. "Is the station in danger?" "Maybe," Evan said quietly. "Let me check something." He crawled under the console, pulling out wires and opening panels. Leary knelt beside him, watching closely, her glowing markings reflecting the dim lights. "You are fast," she said with a small smile, "and gentle with machines." "I've been doing this for years," Evan muttered, adjusting a circuit. "Machines are easier than people." Leary tilted her head. "People are not difficult. They just have many scents." Evan chuckled softly. "Maybe for you." She leaned a little closer, her voice quiet. "Your scent never changed, not even after so many years. That is why I found you." Her words made his hands pause for a moment. No one had ever said something like that to him. He returned to his work. "You have a strong memory." "I only remember the important things," she said. "You are one of them." Before Evan could reply, the system beeped. He slid out from under the console, frowning. "What is it?" Leary asked. Evan pointed at the screen. "This is bad. Someone planted a timed overload in the power core. If we don't stop it, the entire station could shut down. Or worse." Her eyes widened. "So the attack is real?" Evan nodded. "And it's happening soon." Leary stood up slowly, her expression firm for the first time since they met. Then I will stay with you. I won't let the station fall, and I won't let you face danger alone. Evan looked up at her. Leary, this could be risky. She shook her head. You protected me once. Now it is my turn. The alarms grew louder. Red lights flashed across the hallway outside. Evan took a deep breath. Then let's move. He grabbed his toolbox. Leary stepped beside him, close enough that he felt her presence like a shield. They ran through the hallway, alarms ringing and distant explosions shaking the metal floors. People rushed in all directions. Panic spread, but Leary stayed focused, her senses guiding them. The danger is coming from below, she said. I can smell the chemicals again. Evan nodded and led her toward the lower decks. Security officers yelled at them to turn back, but Leary held up her badge of authority and they stepped aside. She moved with surprising bravery, eyes alert, steps confident. Evan couldn't help but feel impressed. They reached a maintenance hatch. Evan opened it and climbed down, Leary close behind him despite the narrow space. At the bottom, they found a dark hallway with wires scattered like broken bones. Evan crouched near a junction box. This was tampered with. Someone wants the overload to spread faster. Leary sniffed the air and frowned. There is another scent here, someone dangerous. Can you follow it? Evan asked. She nodded. It leads deeper inside. Before they could act, a small explosion sounded from the next room. The shock wave threw dust into the air. Leary grabbed Evan's arm and shielded him with her body. Careful! Evan stared at her, surprised at how tightly she held him, like she feared losing him again. When the dust cleared, he spoke softly. Thank you. She didn't let go. I will not lose you. Not again. They moved forward slowly until they reached a door half broken by the blast. Inside, sparks flew from damaged panels. Evan rushed in and scanned the controls, his face turned pale. Leary, the overload timer already started. We might not have much time. Leary stepped beside him, eyes steady. Tell me what to do. Evan hesitated. This could be dangerous. So be it, she said simply. We face it together. He looked into her calm, trusting eyes, eyes of someone who remembered him as the light in a dark cave when she was a child. He felt something change inside him. All right, let's save this station. They began working side by side, Evan with wires and tools, Leary using her enhanced senses to find heated circuits or detect chemicals in the air. They were faster together than he could ever be alone. The alarms grew louder. The ground shook again. Time was running out. Evan wiped sweat from his forehead. We need to reach the main generator. That's where the final trigger is. Leary grabbed his hand, guiding him through a side path. This way, I know it. Her escorts caught up behind them, out of breath. Lady Leary, you must leave. It's too dangerous. Leary shook her head firmly. I will not leave him. Her voice was strong, unshakable. Evan looked at her with a mix of confusion and admiration. She tightened her grip on his hand. You saved me. I remember your warmth, your bravery. I owe you my life, and now I choose to stay with you. Evan opened his mouth to respond, but another explosion echoed close by. The story of their reunion was no longer just about a memory. Now they were running toward danger together. As they reached the final hallway leading to the generator room, Leary suddenly stopped and whispered, They are here. Evan looked at her nervously. Who? She turned her head slowly, eyes narrowing, her voice like ice. The ones who want this station to fall. The final moment of Part 1 ended with Leary stepping in front of Evan protectively as shadows moved in the darkness ahead. The shadows in the hallway moved closer, and Evan tightened his grip on the tools he carried. Leary stayed in front of him, her glowing markings bright against the dim lights, her eyes scanning for movement. Every sound, the hiss of steam, the clank of metal, Even the faint shift of air made her senses sharpen. "They are fast," she whispered, "but I can sense where they came from." Evan nodded. He had faced dangerous machinery before, but this was different. This was alive, moving, calculating. He followed Leary's lead, staying close behind her. As they moved, another small explosion shook the hallway. Sparks rained down from a broken panel above them. Evan ducked instinctively, covering his head. Leary's hand stayed on his shoulder, steadying him. "We are close," she said. "The generator room is just ahead. That's where the trigger is." Evan glanced at her. "Are you sure it's safe?" She shook her head. "Nothing is safe, not now. But if we stop the trigger, we save everyone. I won't let anyone die here, not like before." They reached a reinforced door marked Main Generator. Evan pulled out a small toolkit and started scanning for a way to override the lock. Leary knelt beside him, sniffing the air, detecting faint traces of chemicals. "They are here," she said again, pointing toward a vent near the ceiling. "Someone is watching us from above." Evan looked up and saw shadows flicker across the vent. He knew that whoever was in there had advanced technology, possibly weapons, but he couldn't let fear stop him. He focused on the lock, tapping into his knowledge of engineering. "Give me a minute," he said. "I can open this, but we'll need to move fast." Leary's gaze didn't leave the vent. "I'll cover you," she said. "If they come down, I can stop them long enough for you to finish." Evan felt a strange warmth. This alien girl, once a frightened child, stood ready to protect him, and somehow he trusted her completely. The lock clicked, and the door hissed open. Inside, the generator room glowed with harsh white lights, and the air smelled of ozone and burning metal. Wires hung loose from the ceiling, and small fires burned on scattered panels. Evan rushed inside, scanning the systems. The overload timer was blinking red, less than 5 minutes to detonation. "Okay," he said, setting his toolbox down. "We need to disable the trigger sequence manually. I can handle the main panel, but I'll need you to watch the corridors and alert me if anyone comes." Leary nodded. Her tail, subtle and silver, twitched with concentration. She moved to the entrance, her ears alert to the faintest sound. The first shadow fell from the vent, landing silently behind some cables. Leary saw it instantly. Her eyes narrowed, and she lunged forward, knocking the intruder off balance with a push and a sharp strike. The figure fell to the floor with a grunt, scrambling to rise. Evan's heart pounded. "Be careful," he shouted. "I always am," Leary replied, her voice calm but firm. She pushed the attacker out of the generator room just as another figure dropped from the vent. She moved like water, swift and precise, every step measured. Her movements were graceful but powerful, a mix of instinct and training. Evan got to work on the main panel, flipping switches, rerouting wires, and bypassing the lock sequences. Sparks flew as circuits connected and disconnected. Time was slipping away, and the overload timer kept counting down. 30 seconds! Evan yelled. Leary threw the second intruder aside and dashed back into the room. Her glowing hands hit a control panel by instinct, sealing a doorway before more attackers could enter. She turned to Evan. "Almost done?" "Almost," he said, teeth clenched. "Just a few more wires." One intruder, hiding in the shadows, lunged at Evan with a small device meant to trigger an immediate explosion. Leary reacted instantly, grabbing his arm and pushing him out of the way. The device hit the floor and sparked harmlessly. Evan looked at her, surprised. "Thanks. That could have been it." "Don't thank me yet," she said. "We're not safe until the generator is stable." Evan returned to the panel, sweating, focusing all his energy. He rerouted the final circuit, and the timer froze at 2 seconds. The lights in the room shifted, the alarms died down, and the heat began to dissipate. "It's done," he shouted. Leary exhaled deeply, relief washing over her face. We did it! The remaining intruders outside heard the alarms stop and retreated, realizing their plan had failed. Evan and Leary stepped out of the generator room cautiously. The corridor was empty except for their escorts, who rushed to check on them. "Lady Leary, are you all right?" one asked. "I'm fine," she said calmly. Then she looked at Evan, her blue eyes softening. "And he is fine, too." Evan blinked. I couldn't have done this without you." Leary smiled. "You saved me once. Now we saved everyone together. That's enough for me." The station slowly returned to normal. Traders and travelers resumed their business, unaware of how close they had come to disaster. The rogue group behind the attack was caught when security scanned the station's systems. Their plan to incite conflict between humans and the Shayren was revealed, and the authorities were quick to act. After the chaos subsided, Evan and Leary found a quiet corner in the station's observation deck. The space outside the glass shimmered with distant stars, and the lights of ships moved like fireflies in the void. Leary turned to him. "I followed your scent," she said quietly, "because it meant safety, because it meant hope, because it reminded me of the man who saved me when I was lost." Evan looked at her, a lump in his throat. "I never thought I'd see you again." She reached out and held his hand. "You didn't just save me. You gave me a reason to trust in people, in life. I never forgot that." Evan squeezed her hand gently. "And I never forgot that child, that frightened little alien I held in my arms. I wondered if she was safe, if she survived. And now, you're here." For a moment, they simply looked at each other. Words were not necessary. The bond between them had been formed in fire, strengthened through danger, and now it had become something neither of them could ignore. "Leary," Evan said finally, "if you want, you can stay. Not because you owe me anything, but because I think we might need each other." She smiled, small and genuine. "I want to stay, not as someone repaying a debt, but as someone who found the person who changed her life." Evan felt warmth spread through him, a feeling he hadn't known in years. The quiet engineer and the alien girl who had once been lost now stood together, partners in more ways than one. The station continued to hum around them, ships moving in and out, traders laughing, and alarms returning to normal schedules. But for Evan and Leary, time slowed for just a moment. They stood side by side, looking out into space, knowing that together they could face anything. Leary leaned slightly closer, her head brushing his shoulder. "I will never forget this day," she whispered. "Neither will I," Evan replied. And for the first time in a long time, both of them felt that hope, the quiet, unshakable kind that could survive any storm. They had faced danger, chaos, and the unknown, and they had survived. Together. As the lights of the station reflected in Leary's glowing eyes, Evan realized something simple, something he had never known before. Humans, aliens, and even fragile little hopes could survive anything if they had someone to stand with. The stars outside twinkled like silent witnesses to their story. And for Evan and Leary, it was only the beginning. Together, they faced the danger that could destroy everything.